Hi, Alena.
Hi,
Welcome.
Brigidina.
Hi, everybody. It's Kathleen Brigidina with the Well of Creativity for Tree Sisters with our creative interviews. And today I'm very, very happy to introduce and let you all get to know one of my dear friends and tree sisters, Donna Alena. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then we'll get into a little conversation and show you some of her art. Alena currently lives in Columbus, Ohio, and she's from California. And recently she's decided that she's going to be going back to her homeland in Slovakia to be living in Giglovce, which, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, near the northeast border of the country of Poland and Ukraine. So we're going to hear all about that. Alena is passionate about art in all aspects of her life. She has been an art therapist for 30 years and has had a very rich life experience. The beginning of her work was in psychiatry and adolescents and youth at Riverside Hospital, now Ohio Health in Columbus, for 12 years. She was on the faculty at the esteemed Columbus College of Art and Design for 11 years. She then went on to work at Red Lake Reservation in northern Minnesota in Native trauma in the school system, specifically with middle school and high school students. She lived on the reservation there for 7 years, and we're going to talk about that as well. This is a beautiful, pristine part of northern Minnesota near Manitoba in Ojibwa lands. She loved this work very much. Her work was to lead her back home to care for her parents a few years until they died. She began her journey afterward at Kobacker Hospice back in Ohio and worked with youth in bereavement, loss, and trauma. She graduated from the Center of Sacred Studies in California, doing studies after her adjunct instructor through this program since 2012. She avidly exhibits her art in Columbus, Ohio through the Ballet Met, Columbus Greater Art Council, Jung Haus, and the Short North Art District. She's a poet, a writer, and a prolific painter. And we're going to go into looking at some of her artwork. But I'd like to ask a couple of questions. First of all, I just want to say it's really an honor for me to have you on this call and just to concentrate on all that you bring to the planet. And with your heart, just your being, your spirit is just one of the most authentic that I've ever known. And then with the knowledge and background and the care that we just went through, all of the education that you have and the direction that you took to assist and to care for people in the world, in the planet, and people who you know, the Indigenous people, as well as the children and those whose gifts were special but overlooked or pushed to the side or going through difficult times. And you chose that path. And I'm just so honored by that and being with people during bereavement and loss. It is one of the most things I honor most of all is hospice, people who work in hospice. So the idea that you bring creativity and heart and soul to that part of our world is just so sacred. It's a sacred life that you lead. And I feel that it's, you know, I was blessed the day that you and I met, and and we'll talk a little bit about that story too. But first, you know, just to bring this into the Tree Sisters realm, and with the care of these people we talked about, as well as the care of the earth and how the care of the animals, the things that you do a lot of your paintings with. And when something is happening on our planet with the Amazon or the fires or this and that, and you have a reaction, you have dreams first, and then you have a reaction. And it is an expression that comes through daily in your artwork. Yeah, so it's that's just from knowing you that I know this. And I just wanted to ask you, if you could just tell us what drew you to Tree Sisters. I know it was that I introduced you to Tree Sisters when we met, so you can talk about, our meeting if you like, but also just once you saw what I was introducing you to with Tree Sisters, what was it that drew you further in?
Well, first I want to say I'm humbled and I'm grateful to be a part of this interview with you, Brigidina. And for the audience that's watching, we met in such a magical, magical way. The story needs a whole separate interview of this interview.
Yeah.
But if you ever doubted that our departed peoples that we love on the other side are not interested or involved in our lives, Kathleen and I met so beautifully through trust. I just trusted my dreams and messages that I was getting. I was introduced because, first of all, I fell in love with Brigidina's spirit and who she is as a person, and then started following the community. And what resonated most for me, I will just make a very simple answer, is Tree Sisters is always thinking ahead for the next 7 generations. And so when I see the postings of the art and the things that people care so compassionately and empathy for, that's what drew me in. It resonated deep, viscerally, that these are my people. This is part of my tribe. So in a very short way, I love that you're thinking ahead. You're thinking now, but you're thinking ahead for the next 7 generations, and that's what draws me in.
Thank you, Alena. It's beautifully put.
Thank you.
Now, a lot of I just know so many things that you're doing. I'm thinking where to actually sense into where we should go to from here. How about if we talk about, when you, like the dreams and how the dreams come into your artwork, and how now you're going to be working on a book. If we can kind of bring that all together and talk about it for a little bit, and then I'm going to show some of your art too.
Okay. So dreams, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was a nurse and a healer, and she was from the old country, Slovakia, and she was really a mystic. So when I was growing up with her at a young age, one of the things that we would have when we would drink tea and toast and enjoy those moments was our dreams. And my grandmother would tell me her dreams, and I would tell her my dreams. And I was so happy to have my grandmother until my 30s. So I grew up from a young girl into 30s into a wonderful apprenticeship, in a sense, with my grandmother. My grandmother felt like a lot of the Ojibwa people. The first thing that when you wake up in the morning, you talk about your dreams. Dream life is every bit as rich and real as this conscious physical spacesuit that we wear. Both lives are intertwined and active, the unconscious and the conscious. In a sense, she really was a Jungian at heart, but she probably wouldn't call herself that. But she really, she always encouraged me with my art and my dreams. So I think the dreams have followed me since I was a little girl, and I listened. And so I dream prophetically. Most of my paintings are dream images. And I keep a dream journal every day for years and years and years now. And I use that as the impetus, the narrative, the soul healing for my life, the planet, and others. And I just follow the vision. The dreams are the vision.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I cannot believe how, you know, prolific you do dream. You know, for myself, I have some really good ones once in a while that I'm envious of that. It's just a whole beautiful visual, and you know, you get messages, don't you, through your dreams?
I do. Precognitive, premonition-like dreams of the gender of babies. On and on it goes, and they tend to always be true. So I never doubt my dream life.
Yeah, and maybe that's why it's so alive in you, because you're giving it so much attention. I don't know, but it's possible. The other thing that it comes across in your dreams a lot are, you know, the different things that are happening with the planet. And you know, I know that you've touched me so much by, you know, sharing some of those dreams with me, and then as well as creating some, you know, the art that's all behind you, by the way, I know is all of yours. And when we say prolific, we mean prolific with you. You're just painting every single day. But yeah, just going back to that, like the messages that are coming from the earth, and also from the indigenous peoples who, you know, you've done the studies with also, but all of these realms that you've opened up, I think, in your subconscious, and that they're all coming through your art right now. And what would you like to say about that piece of it?
What I would like to say is, whatever is happening on the earth is only a partial reality. When we go to sleep at night, the ancestors are just dangling like dream catchers, like stars over our head, with stories to tell us. They want to teach us the old stories. And when I say ancestors, I don't mean just indigenous tribes. It's our lineage, whatever our lineage is. They show up, and they're so happy if we just listen. They want to tell us the stories. It's a burden at times, because they're going to tell you things you don't really want to hear. They're going to tell you about the earth on fire. They're going to talk about the pandemic. They're going to talk about their suffering. But in a sense, they're going to show you metaphors and symbols of how to heal and maneuver. It's almost like when you go to sleep, you're given a map. And the map is this unconscious story of beauty and sorrow. And you're kind of you're interpreting a language you don't fully even know or understand. So what I say in these times of the pandemic, and if you're a prolific dreamer of fires and earthquakes and on and on and on, that what the ancestors, I believe, are telling us is we need the poets, we need the bards, the storytellers, the musicians, the painters, the writers. We need you now more than ever. Your job, you were born for this moment, and you have the stories, and you're going to continue the ancestral line of the narrative. So I feel we do ourselves a real disservice if we live life blindly and not think they're there. They're there. They are so happy. They're probably jumping up and down that we're paying attention. And they love it, and they long for it, as we long for messages from our loved ones. So I say now is the time. And if you don't have the time, you're too busy.
Right. Wow, that's a really powerful message. I know for a lot of people, especially those of us who have lost people, you know, recently too. And I know there's a lot of loss happening right now, you know, with a lot of people that we're losing on the planet right now, and a lot of the elders in particular, which is just kind of unfathomable, really, to think about. But we do know that there is, like you said in the beginning, was that it's only one, sort of level that we can see, and that there's all of these other things that are happening underneath if we just tune into the subconscious and the deeper consciousness levels beyond those things. And I know that's one of the things that really connected you and I when we met at the Art
Yeah.
Institute in Chicago. And just real briefly, that you had a dream in which your husband, your ex-husband, not your ex-husband, your husband who has passed away, I apologize, Blair, and you say that he is your muse and that he always will be your muse. And if he could speak right now, he would be, I think, just dancing on the rooftops and singing his heart out, to see just all the expression that you opened up and that you didn't bottle up and that you didn't hide, and also that you used it to help you and help heal yourself, right? I mean, this is what I know from knowing you. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing what you've done. And I think what you're going to be creating, like all the things that you're stepping into now. Okay, so we talked about it a little bit briefly, that you're taking over your ancestral properties in Slovakia, and your plan is to create a retreat center there, right?
Yes.
And to bring
Yes.
people together, artists, and you can describe it for everybody. What's your vision?
Oh, my vision. Thank you for asking that question, because since I was a little girl, I always wanted to move to Slovakia, and Slovakia has a very, for lack of a better word, a very wounded history because of Hitler, Nazism, communism, and on and on. And my village has a lot of history. I wanted to go back to, in a sense, heal the whole cycle of my family. My grandmother, my grandfather, my great-grandparents, my great-great-grandparents, and the land, we've had it for so long. At times we lost it due to communism, but we always got it back. The dream to move to my great-grandfather's house, the dream to open a safe place for artists to come to, writers, for family and friends, to create in a very safe, quiet, pastoral place full of forests, low-lying mountains that connect to the Tatras, to eat organic food free of pesticides, to have fresh, clean spring and well water, to live slowly, live with the cycles and the light of the day, the patterns of light, the seasons, the wind, the lake that's nearby, Eva de Massa, just to step in a sense of a place of timelessness. And I think, if anything, the pandemic is trying to show us we're starving for it. We're absolutely starving for this holy pauses in our life. My goal is to have that, and I'll be teaching English, and my goal is to find, if anybody loves my art and is from Eastern Europe, I want to find a gallery to represent me in Eastern Europe, and live the dream like artists did back in the, I'm so enthralled with art of the 1920s and 30s, Second World War, and live in a place where artists are really respected. I'm not saying we don't respect artists in America, but I do notice in Europe there's a different sensibility about art. Art is so important. It's old, it's sacred, it's really quite magical. So my dream is, I was so blessed to inherit this from my grandfather and my father, is to keep the legacy. That's what I want to leave until I go. I'm an elder now, and so this is my legacy.
Wow, it's so beautiful, like for real. Just so you know, the whole the whole thing the whole reason behind your whole impetus of healing your ancestry, from healing the land and everything that went through there, and listening to your ancestry in guidance, because they can feel it. You can heal going all the way back. And then also to bring together that reverence really for art and creativity is what I'm hearing. And on top of that, to bring it into this pause that is just in with nature, and just appreciating the peace and the muse that is available without anything else, just our gift from Mama Earth. And so it sounds like heaven to me, and you already know that. I cannot wait to go out to help you put it together and do whatever needs to be done, and bring in the wood and play like we're in old long time ago. I would love that. step back
and I
in
can't
time.
wait for you. You can stay as long as you like. Please, please. And maybe people who are watching this are hungry for something like that. Eastern Europe's beautiful. It's full of so much history and beauty.
Yeah, I'm sure that when the time is right, everybody will be flocking there, and those who are ready for it and open for it. And like you said, the pandemic is helping a lot of people to slow down, forcing them actually. But I think once they are forced, they're like, hey, yeah, this actually is something I needed, and it feels good, and we don't have to be go and all of that. But I'm going to bring up some of your art right now, so
Thank you.
yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to share the screen. There we go. So this, to begin with, this is your studio.
Yes,
It's only part of it. I know that your whole house is your studio, actually.
True.
But do you want to say anything about this particular corner of it?
Well, this is a lanai. This is where my parents used to hang out. So I kind of cleared out the space, and it's sacred. This is when it was really clean, because as you know, artists, we get really messy. But the beauty is this is a three-sided space that follows the east to western track of sunlight. So I can paint at sunrise and I can paint at sunset. It just follows the track around the house.
Oh, that's
and so yes,
beautiful.
this is one corner. I have little altars in there and little rock formations, as you will see.
Yeah.
And so this is facing the east.
Beautiful light. Yeah, I can see. How wonderful.
Thank you.
And here's the opposite side of the lanai, is it?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Look at all those. This is so interesting. I just want to sit and look at all of the pieces. And I love that you have so many different shapes and sizes. And you work with recycled wood or pieces of wood that you can reclaim and do that, right?
Yes, I do. I love using what already exists in the world and applying it to the canvas.
Yeah, yeah. I love it too. And you've done so you use pigments in a lot of what you're doing, the natural earth pigments, and
yes, I do.
All sorts of goodies like that. And there's a lot of horses and different birds is in your themes of what you do.
Yes. Yes, that's a really big part of it, is horses. Hrabcakova means bird. So my family is, if we are a clan, we're the bird clan.
Oh. And then if you want to tell us about this one.
This is a painting that I did on Bristol board. It's about 24 by 36. It is, I wanted it to look really dreamy because this was a dream that looked like a mirage. And I used rainwater and rose water to paint with. And so when I dipped my acrylics, I dipped them in that kind of water. So it was real rainy, and I wanted it to look real rainy. What I saw in the dream was the back of my head, and I had an ochre blanket wrapped around me. And I'm looking out over the hills, and it's sunset time, and I see the faint, faint silhouettes of my ancestors. And I knew exactly where I was. Of course, I was in Giglovce. I was with my ancestors on my ancestral land, and they were calling me home. And the title of this piece is Going Home.
Wow. And that's before you left, before you went there, right?
No, this was a pretty recent dream when I finalized my decision. It seems like it was the finalization of a long time dream that I'm almost there. I'm going home. I'm getting closer.
Beautiful.
So this was a recent dream, and this is a recent piece.
Beautiful. I love your pieces when you put you in them with your red hair. I love it.
Thank you.
And this
Yes.
is the mother of the the blessed mother of or the holy mother of the pandemic. What is the name of
Yes,
it?
it is.
Yeah.
So I love painting Mary images, but I like painting them in all different ways. She's different races. She has different expressions. And I'm doing a series on the lost blue horse tribes. And that's based on a whole dream of these blue horses that I keep getting in my dreams. But this Mother Mary, as you can see, has a mask on. And I see her holy and watching over us, but also she's healthy, of course, because she's otherworldly, but she's ill too, if I can like paradoxically put it together. We've made the mother ill, very, very ill. I remember years ago when I was at the Center for Sacred Studies, one of our Indigenous teachers from Brazil said that even, I'm going to say probably 11 years ago, the earth was in ICU, and that we were at that stage where that was critical.
Yeah.
Now imagine it's all these years later and we are where we are.
Yeah.
So this is the mother that's watching over us while we are in this time that's so unprecedented that the whole world has stopped. And the blue horse is a spirit tribe. They're a spirit tribe in my dreams that cross the lands of Mongolia and Siberia and across the Bering Strait.
Yeah, it's so powerful in so many ways, and that's the stories. And this is the book that you're putting together is about the tribe of the blue horses, right? Okay.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Brigidina.
There's another colorful piece.
Oh yes, this is. I love Buddha images and Bodhisattvas. Buddhism is something that really speaks to me. It's so natural. I felt a kinship with it when I started studying it in my 20s. And I was raised Catholic, and I still embrace Catholicism, probably a more modern twist to it, because there were many rituals and icons. I loved the art. And parts of it I just really, really loved. And Buddhism for me always brings me back to the place, why am I now on the planet? I personally feel the one reason I'm on the planet is to love, but love and compassion. So here we see the Bodhisattva. It's springtime. She has cherry blossoms all around her. And so it's a renewal. And then we've got my little lost blue horse. He's not completely blue, but he's leaning into the Bodhisattva, because part of the story of the horses is their message is all about principles that fit many of the religions of the world. But the principle is really that they've always been there for us in love and compassion. So that's what this piece is the Bodhisattva with the blue horse.
So beautiful. And I feel like, I can feel the little horse, just snuggling in there, and
yes,
and it's just so compassionate, and, you know, full of love and newness, you know, and promise. I feel that a lot of promise. And yeah, I love
Thank
the work.
you.
I love your work. Yes.
Oh, I love your work too. It's mutual.
Thank you. This one now.
This
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 is
piece.
sort of familiar to, I'm sorry, this is sort of familiar to me of the first works you started doing when you and I met. And I always felt like it was just so unique, and it did feel it, you know, even if you didn't tell me that it was from a dream, that it felt, I had that, it has that energy, the dreamlike quality is always coming through in your work. So your techniques to bring that forward are really beautiful. I know you like to use the earth pigments and the rose waters and things like I do too, and but it's the way in which they kind of come in a different level. It's not, you know, it's not something that I've ever seen before, but it's automatically the dream. Like you could feel the message, not just a dream, but like, you know, what the, you know, some, I know some of the indigenous tribes use the dreams as their messages every morning, you know, kind of in the way your grandmother was doing, that they listen, this is their guidance, this is what's going to tell them what to do, you know, is what they heard in their dream. And that's what it's always felt like, just how you
Well,
do it.
thank you for that synopsis. It's wonderful. This piece continues the story of, there's two women in the story that are very strong. One is an eagle huntress, and this big bird that's in the sky is one of her companions. And it's kind of a cross between an eagle and a shamanic bird. And they have this kinship that, in a sense, they're almost like soulmates. They have a unity where they just understand one another. And if you can go into your mind's eye and imagine some of the pieces you've probably seen of men and women that are able to train falcons or birds of prey or eagles to fly freely and yet fly back, and they have this most amazing connection. So this is one of her companions, and then off to the left side is one of the blue horses. The idea of the blue horse is that almost like Aboriginal stories, that they've always been on the planet. They've never left, and they've been on a walkabout since the beginning of time. And in my dreams, my dreams always begin somehow. I'm always in Mongolia. It's always usually a starting point. And I get to this place where more and more of my dreams, I'm getting to the Bering Strait. I'm crossing the Bering Strait. And then all of a sudden in the story, the blue horses kind of fade away. But one thing you'll learn through the process is they never faded away. They were always there, and they're always still here. And it's a mythology that I dream about. I dream it over and over about these horses. And I think they're trying to say that there's so much in the unseen world we don't see. And artists paint that. Artists and writers write beautiful songs and lyrics and spoken poetry and so many things where these downloads just come. And so if we just stop the world a minute and paint, in a sense, we're writing the new holy books of this time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So that's a bit about that piece.
That's could go into the whole story there, and to look at the book, you know, that will come out of it will be, you know, a great gift, I think, to everyone who will read it. I already feel that's coming in a beautiful, with a beautiful message for all of us, and also that there is hope, which I think is something that people are looking for a lot. I mean, it's telling the story that the journey is coming through a transition for the good, and we're at that point in time right now, for if we listen really closely, that it's here and we can step into it with our hearts. I'm going to
Absolutely.
stop sharing my screen for a minute, go back out to full. And just to close, I just have a couple of questions for you. First of all, it's just, I feel like I'm in dreamland right now. I just feel very relaxed. I feel like I have a lot of possibility, like my heart and my mind are both opened. And I'm sure it's the same for everybody who's listening right now too. But I do want to ask you two things. One is about your muse, and then the other one is just to give anyone any tips or advice from your experience as an artist or a fellow creative traveler in this world right now, and just to share with everybody else. So.
Okay. So, so you want me to go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, if you would, start with, your muse, and I think you've already covered a lot of,
Yeah.
the word, yeah, but, if you have anything else you wanted to add to that.
Well, my muse is not on this planet. My muse died 3 years ago. His name is Blair. We met when we were young. We were on fire for the world. We were going to be artists, We were going to live the dream and be two bohemians that were going to bring something to the planet. And I'm a licensed art therapist, and Blair was a graphic designer, and he was the most amazing artist. Like, his art just blew my mind away. He was so beautiful inside and out. My muse died very tragically and unexpectedly, and I wasn't nowhere prepared, and I had just lost my mother and father. I will say probably every day for the last 3 years, I've dreamt about him every night. Almost every night he comes to me, and we have this most rich relationship, and it's just magical. It's unbelievable. I feel like he's bringing me to the other side with him as much as he can show me and tell me. And I feel like he's painting with me, and I know for sure he's painting up there. Or wherever the lands is. In the dreams, he always says he's upstairs. And I really love that because I live in a one-level house, and I like to think that there's an extension. I just can't see it. He's just upstairs.
Mm.
It's been a long, long healing process, and the 3rd anniversary is coming up. And I know it sounds strange to say my muse is departed and not here, but in a sense, I feel like he's here even more. And I really hope my art, when people look at it, they say, oh, God, I see Blair in there too. And I really, really hope that. It's been painful, very, very painful, but very beautiful.
Yes.
And as far as advice for fellow artists, it's probably not what people are going to want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean it from any academic standpoint or as a teacher, but I really feel you need discipline. People often say, well, I want to be an artist. And I said, well, how much time have you been given to it? I mean, I've been doing art my whole life, middle school, high school, college, art school, teaching it, working as an art therapist, painting every day the last 3 years since Blair died. If you want to be good at art, you got to do it. And it's a skill. It's just like a violinist, a celloist, just anyone who plays an instrument. The more you play, the better you're going to be. So my routine is and Bridget Dina will know this, we have tea chats. I love to brew in the morning a big, big pot of Scottish or Irish tea, really, really, really strong. And I like to meditate. I like to reflect on my dreams, and then I go into the painting. A lot of the way Brigidina and I work is prepping the canvas, and I've been so blessed to purchase some of the earth pigments she's made, and made my own too, where I just add maybe more dirt or herbs and oils and etc. to them. So prepping the canvas is alchemy in itself. It's like a ritual. So the mornings may be just prepping canvases, just getting them ready, molding, pasting them, putting them together, putting my intentions, my prayers, and my dreams, and just starting something.
Yeah.
And then in the evenings is the end of the day, I like to build back into it. If I don't feel like doing a large painting, I just start small. I have lots of little sketchbooks and I doodle. Or I do a watercolor pencil drawing and I say, well, I did art today. I did something. So it's almost like Julia Cameron's approach, write 5 pages, morning pages a day. I'd say paint every day, draw, or if you're a poet or a writer, write every day, and don't squander that. You are worth it. You are worthy, and your story is ready to be heard. People are starving for good stories and good art.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. I hate to say it. It sounds, oh gosh, do I have to do it every day? And I'm like, yeah, you kind of do. So,
well, once you get into it,
advice.
though, that's great advice. And it's also, very healthy to do right now, just to express yourself, whether it's doodling, like you say, or scribbling, or writing, just streaming writing. Right now, it's difficult to think about anything, plan anything, to do, all of our minds are so programmed to setting up what the next thing is, instead of just being in this moment. And it's hard to be in the moment for some people who, are just always programmed to keep moving forward. And so being in that moment and just scribbling, like I've been, talking with a lot of my students and stuff, it's just like, okay, let's just, it doesn't matter what it's about, right? It doesn't matter if you made a small one or a big painting, but if you just give presence to that peacefulness and that quietness, to just let whatever comes through come through. And the only way you can do that is by announcing it, like, I'm going to do art right now. And it could be cooking. I mean, I think it could be like everything, gardening and cooking, and I have lots of fun cooking, and I feel like a painter, a mad scientist. Sometimes I cook with what I eat, and I eat when I cook, and I eat when I paint. It's like, and I, dip my brush in the tea or the wine or whatever, and whatever comes. But it's all kind of part of the expressiveness of what is here for us, to care for us, I believe, in this time right now that we know. And for me, that's Earth's energy. It's Earth's creation energy that's connected to all of the sacredness in the universe. But I absolutely love our time together right now. It just feels really so peaceful, and just like one of our little tea chats. And we do talk like this on our calls, and we talk about these things. And I feel really blessed to be your friend, and I'm really, really proud to share you with everybody else. And I can't wait to see what you do next. I love you.
Now, when you were speaking, you cut out a little bit, so I didn't hear all of it, but I know I will agree with a lot of it. I heard bits and pieces of it, so
okay.
It's just been such an honor to share this time with you. I feel very humbled, and I want to say that all words that came from me are not from any place of ego. It's just my art is humble service, and whatever comes out of this story, I'm magnificently and beautifully surprised. I mean, even how we met, and we went to the Gauguin exhibition, and we are kindred sisters for sure. And I just remain open. Like, if you would have told me years ago I would have these losses and I would create hundreds of paintings and I would be moving to Slovakia, I would look you in the eye and run as fast as I could. Because I'd say, I am not ready for any of this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But that's
here
the
you are.
process we're in now. Acceleration, change of stories, unpredictability, yet beauty, fine-tuning who we are and what our purpose is in the world.
Beautiful way to end this interview, and it's been lovely, getting a even deeper glimpse of your inner workings and sharing them with everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.